The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
All right, everyone listening to this right now, start breeding, okay? Because having kids, it gives you that energy.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to the postcast here on Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer with Daily Hive Vancouver. And I'm here tonight talking to you after a Canucks win over the Los Angeles Kings. And man, oh man, the Canucks, for part of this game, you started to think, especially towards the end, that this team just stacks problems on problems, right? We all know there's some struggles among the best players on this team. And early in the season, they kept giving up the first goal and having to chase the game. Now they're scoring the first goal and blowing the lead, okay? It was the 10th time in 11 games that the Canucks scored the first goal of the game. They had a 2-0 lead going into the third period, and they fluttered it away. And somehow, some way, they find a way to win in overtime. And this game, again, I'm not sure if there's two more boring teams in the NHL right now than the Vancouver Canucks and the LA Kings, but I don't care. I don't care. I started to think tonight, man, oh man, like the Canucks and Kings might be the worst playoff matchup possible, just from an entertainment perspective. But at the end of the day, I want the wins, baby. I don't care how it looks. And let me know in the comments how you feel, especially if you're on YouTube Live or after the fact. Do you care how the Canucks win games? Because right now they're winning games by a defensive masterclass. And we'll get into some of the characters on defense tonight. But first and foremost, we got to talk about the guy who brought the big dad energy. Connor Garland, okay? Got that new kid, Quinn. And ironically, it was Connor and Quinn, Batman and Robin for the Canucks, if you will, saving the day and giving the Canucks the victory tonight. And Quinn Hughes wasn't playing 27 minutes like he usually does. He wasn't as noticeable out there, but he stepped up when it matters most. And you could see it in overtime, itching to get on the ice and make a difference in the game, help his team get the dub. And that's exactly what he did. And of course, he was joined by Connor Garland. And again, Connor Garland had gone a bit quiet lately, as have a lot of Canucks offensively. No points in 5 games prior to tonight, but he gets 2 huge goals to help the Canucks get the victory. The first on the power play, and you got to give Garland the kudos, man. I'm hitting the round of applause for Connor Garland, man, because he's the smallest guy in the NHL, and there he is in front of the net, taking a beating, getting shaken up after the play, and still burying the first goal of the game for the Vancouver Canucks. And of course, he did it when it mattered most as well, scoring his second overtime goal of the season. And again, the Canucks, they ain't doing it pretty right now. If the Vancouver Canucks, you compare their style of play to an age, I would say the Vancouver Canucks are probably like a 57-year-old. Okay, no offense to 57-year-olds. I can't wait to grow old, but you're just not quite as sexy as you once were when you're at 57 years of age, unless you're that select few person out there, unless you're a George Clooney, unless you're my father-in-law, man, that guy's an animal. But for the most part, 57-year-olds, they ain't as sexy as they used to be. And that's the Vancouver Canucks right now. You think of last season, the PDO Kings scoring all the time. You know what? Maybe not getting the shots, but getting the quality chances, looking dangerous, looking sexy. And this season, it's not quite the same, but they did get a couple of sexy goals tonight. 2 from Connor Garland, 1 from Nils Höglander as well, who we said it in the episode before the game tonight, getting the promotion, if you want to call it that, onto the top line alongside Elias Pettersson and Jake DeBrusk. Ironically, he scores the first goal of the game while skating with Teddy Bluger and Kiefer Sherwood, since the Canucks went with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen tonight. But it doesn't matter how he did it, because Connor Garland, Nils Höglander is starting to find his game, and the points haven't necessarily been there, but you've seen it over the past 10 games or so, that Nils Höglander has really started to step up. And we'll get to report cards as well and go through all the guys on the team, but there's 2 guys in particular who I had labeled, and you could blame me, the darkest guy on the program, as occasional listeners and everydayers know here on Locked On Canucks. But Nils Höglander and Dakota Joshua were two guys that I had regressing this year. And that was not a bold take. I mean, both guys shot over 20% last year. But I certainly didn't expect them. And I don't think any Canuck fan did, except for maybe Joshua because of what he went through in the offseason. Their fall from grace, for lack of a better term, has been really evident for the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, these are guys who, Nils Höglander, 24 goals last season. Dakota Joshua was on a 23-goal pace, even though he missed 20 games last season, had 18 goals. And both these guys are far from where they were this season. But they both got on the score sheet tonight. Joshua on the power play, Nils Höglander getting his 5th of the season. And, I do see a world where Nils Höglander and Dakota Joshua, really start picking up for this team and piling up some points here towards the end of the season. And goddamn, does this team need that? We all know they need offense. I mean, the second lowest scoring team in the NHL right now, which is crazy to believe. Sorry, I should say since November. They are 26th overall as of right now. But yeah, Dakota Joshua and Nils Höglander, two guys who are finding their form, and goddamn, the Canucks need it right now. Before I get into report cards, let's talk a bit about the Petterssons, because I see in the comments, someone was saying earlier in the show, Elias Pettersson looked better tonight. It does feel like we're grasping at straws a bit, right? Like, he has those flashes with the puck. I've said it before. He can make plays in tight spaces, but he's doing too much right now, and the confidence is not there. You saw him whiff on it late in the third. Sometimes when he does make a nice play with the puck, I could think when he was dangling in the second period in the offensive zone, he often dangles himself into trouble and gets checked. Again, not the same guy right now. And let's be honest for a second. Of all the Petterssons on the ice for the Canucks tonight, I would say Elias Pettersson was arguably the least impactful. DPD, again, right now, this guy's not even 10 games into career. He's making some mistakes out there, but goddamn did he make some good defensive plays, burying Alex Laferriere for a chance in the third period. Made a nice defensive play before the Kings got their second goal of the game. From that crazy tip-in from Warren Fogle. And Marcus Pettersson, man. Marcus Pettersson. I'm still not in love with the trade. I'm not going to lie, but this guy has improved the defense. And it was really evident tonight, especially with Quinn Hughes back and not quite at 100%. He still looks incredibly dangerous. I would argue Quinn Hughes still might have been the best player on the ice tonight, aside from Connor Garland, for either team. But Marcus Pettersson, so steady. Notice whenever this guy takes a penalty, he did take a hooking penalty early in this game. He takes penalties that prevent goals. They're not dumb penalties. He prevented a 2-on-1 there when he took that hooking penalty. And then on the PK in overtime as well, the guy was just rock steady for the Vancouver Canucks. I don't love the deal, but I do love the player. And I love that contract he's on too. Like, I think Marcus Pettersson over the next number of years, and I don't have that crystal ball, man, but Marcus Pettersson in that contract, you could see him absolutely living up to it. I mean, not a guy who's going to get a lot of points for you, but goddamn, he prevents goals. And, since Marcus Pettersson joined this team, the Canucks are allowing less than 2 goals per game. And in fact, they've allowed just about 2 goals a game over the last 11 games as well. Let's get through the rest of the team here. Let's try to run it again. I'm Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, not joined by Kyle Bowen tonight, but I am going to do this segment here called a report card. All right, shout out to Kyle Bowen for the drop there as always, man. Doing 88% of the work here on Locked On Canucks. Let's start at the top tonight. Brock Boeser. I'm giving Brock Boeser a C overall. I mean, he had a couple nice plays. He had one nice dangle towards the end of the third period there. But just Brock Boeser, along with Elias Pettersson, I'm throwing him under the bus too, just not looking dangerous enough for your Vancouver Canucks. And, it's hard to fault Brock Boeser too much. He was saddled with Suter, who had some whiffs tonight, and Drew Connor, who, again, is a bottom 6 player. But at the end of the day, you do want to see a bit more for Brock Boeser. Carson Soucy, he got some love on the broadcast, but I did think it was a very up and down night for Carson Soucy. I thought he struggled more in the third period. And when you look at the stats at the end of the night, he was the only Canuck that was on the ice for both goals against. I'm giving Carson Soucy a C as well. Connor Garland, A+, man. The big dad energy. I'm telling you, whether you have kids or not, go start breeding right now. Man, I might try to have another kid after tonight, man. God damn, because Connor Garland, he's got the sauce, man, and he's got that new dad energy. He's doing that with a newborn in the house, man. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Again, he's on the road right now. Yeah. Man, maybe that's why, man. Maybe you got to keep Connor Garland on the road for the rest of the season. Philip Hronek doing what he always does. I give him a B+ overall. Drew Connor, give him a C. Again, takes the penalty in overtime. Nils Höglander giving him an A. Again, another strong game for Nils Höglander. And Nils Höglander, you're starting to see his ice time creep up a bit as well. Like he's up at even strength tonight, almost 13 minutes, so a couple minutes above what he'd done for most of the season. Pius Suter giving him a C. Again, lots of C's tonight, man. Maybe I'm the darkest guy in the program. DPD, I'm giving a B tonight. Again, a couple mistakes in there. The ice time was a little lower because of the fact that there were 7 defensemen playing for the Canucks tonight. And in fact, he finishes with the lowest ice time on the team, just a shade over 10 minutes. But I found a way to make an impact. Possession metrics weren't great, but again, you're starting to see some flashes from DPD that you really like. Derek Forbort, man, oh man, this guy, he's a bit ruthless, man. Checking his old teammate, his ex-captain. I guess Kopitar wasn't captain at the time. Maybe that's it. Burying him in overtime into the boards on, maybe a little lucky not to be called for a penalty there. I mean, Derek Forbort did take a penalty late in the third in the Canucks last game, which kind of cost him. But again, showing some meanness and solid defensively right now too. I'm giving him a B. Marcus Pettersson, I'm giving an A tonight. Again, just so steady out there. And did he lead the Canucks in ice time tonight? No, Quinn Hughes, Philip Hronek, actually 26 minutes for the Canucks. Quinn Hughes and Marcus Pettersson both 21.5 minutes. Hughes 6 seconds more than Marcus Pettersson, but Marcus Pettersson, a steadying presence for your Vancouver Canucks. Elias Pettersson, we spent a lot of time ripping on the guy. I wasn't a huge fan of his game tonight. And again, not a shift in overtime, I don't think, for Elias Pettersson, which it's not great. Giving him a C-. Quinn Hughes giving him an A-. Again, he's just so dangerous out there, such a dog. Impacts the game at the very end. Definitely quieter than usual, but he was good tonight for the Vancouver Canucks. Kiefer Sherwood, buzzing out there, man. Even though he was on the fourth line, give him a B+. Teddy Bluger, give him a B. Teddy Bluger a B+. Actually, you got to give Teddy Bluger some credit for the penalty kill, because this Canucks team is pretty damn good on the penalty kill. And it's easy to forget that this team has not been good on the penalty kill for most of the last 12 years. And Teddy Bluger is a key cog in the penalty kill there. Tyler Myers, one love to Tyler Myers. I'm trying to check for updates here as we do the show, but yeah, I was a little worried about the shot that he took there. Maybe we'll get into it on the other side. Tyler Myers, yeah, I'm giving him an honorary A, man. The guy's a warrior. Filipino looking dangerous tonight. Give him an A-. Jake DeBrusk, give him a B. Dakota Joshua, B+. And Kevin Lankinen, give him an A overall. Okay. Let's get back to the program here. Actually, let's cut to break. We're going to do an ad read here on Locked On Canucks. We'll get to a lot of your comments on the other side. Again, you're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. All right. Let's pause for a moment here and shout out our friends over at Indeed. Because if you need to hire, you need Indeed, baby. Because with your business, sometimes you need that person like yesterday, and they're just not there. And if you want to get them hired fast, you got to use Indeed, baby. Indeed, it's all you need. Because if you want to get your job post seen by other employers, you got to use you got to get your job post seen by employees out there. You got to use Indeed, okay? Indeed does it fast, okay? That's why they remind me of me. The Flash, baby. You got to get the job done fast sometimes, okay? Again, start breeding tonight. Do it to be like Connor Garland, all right? And Indeed, you got those sponsored jobs that get your post put at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates fast as can be. Now you can speed up that hiring process with the $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Locked On Canucks, baby. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, we're back here on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. And we're talking about a win. Thank the Lord. The Canucks are back in a playoff spot after beating the LA Kings. One game. Calgary Flames got one game in hand on us, but we are 1 point ahead of the Calgary Flames. And man, oh man, the Calgary Flames, I got to say, they played not a bad game last night. They certainly got more shots than the Vancouver Canucks. And the Calgary Flames in action tomorrow night on the road against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Of course, the Canucks also playing tomorrow night as well against the Anaheim Ducks. Utah hosting the Minnesota Minnesota Wild. All right, let's get to some of the comments here on Locked On Canucks, because we're not here without you, the people. And my God, I'd be done the show right now if it's not for you. So let's get to you here on Locked On Canucks. Bob Luger in the comments saying, Connor Garland with the devilish grin and the filthiest fist pump celly injected into my veins. Oh, I inject into my veins. I'm telling you, man, it's gotten me in a breeding mood, okay? Derek Whelan in the comments saying DP is never going back to Abbotsford. And, I think Kyle and I had a bit of disappointment when you saw practice on Wednesday, and it looked like Elias Pettersson was going to be on the outside looking in. He does get into the lineup today. I think the Canucks deciding to go with 7D, which I think was the right call. I think you often don't say it's the right call. But in a game against the LA Kings where, you're not necessarily worried about trying to ice more forwards and have as much of an offensive punch. Ironic that the Kings also went with 7 defensemen tonight. And even though DP had the lowest amount of minutes among defensemen, I think he deserves to be in the lineup over a guy like Steve Baines right now. And man, oh man, I mean, DP, I know he's on the left side, Myers on the right side, but maybe DP's playing a bit more right now because Tyler Myers, as Arfie Bear saying, hope Tyler Myers is okay and it's not a broken collarbone. I mean, Myers is a tough dude, and to see him go down the way he went down, it worries you that it is something like a broken collarbone. And one love to Tyler Myers. Again, Arfie Bear saying, hope Tyler Myers is okay. Let's go to report cards from some of the listeners. Brock and Petey are getting an F from Smirky McSur, and I think relative to what we expect from them, it's disappointing right now. And the pressure is on both guys. Now, Brock Besser has a bit more of an out in terms of the Canucks could deal him. And, of course, they could deal Elias Pettersson too. But, we talked about that earlier. It's not really even Bohm and Byron and Cousins anymore. It's like you're talking Cousins a mid-round pick. Like, Pettersson's value is gone. And tonight, not even getting a shift in overtime. That is a really telling sign for the Vancouver Canucks. And, the minutes were up there for him tonight, but, in those minutes, didn't look great, didn't look dangerous. Only on the ice for 4 shots for, which is kind of in the middle of the pack with a bunch of other Canucks. Really, like, the only duo that was truly generating for the Canucks tonight was Philip Hedl and Connor Garland. Each player on the ice for Hedl on the ice for 9 shots, Garland 8 shots, Dakota Joshua 7 shots. No other Canuck forwards on the ice for more than 5 shots. It's offensively a bit of a black hole on this team right now. And thank God you have Philip Hedl doing some dangles. Connor Garland again found his spark again tonight, and oh man, I think the Canucks just got they're waiting. We're waiting for these guys, Brock and Petey, to make an impact. And I know, they both of them had a good game against the Maple Leafs before the Four Nations break, but since we came back, it hasn't quite been the same for either guy. And again, the Canucks are only going to go as far as their stars take them, or maybe not, man. Like, hey, here's one thing: you want to get positive here in Vancouver. I started thinking today, watching this game, Canucks with the 2-0 lead. What was the lowest scoring team to ever win the Stanley Cup? Or what was the worst team ever to win the Stanley Cup? And hey, I know this was like 1938, but I did look it up. The Chicago Blackhawks had like a 14, 25, and 9 record, I believe. And they went on to win the Stanley Cup. I know it was 6 teams in the league, but I'm just saying anything is possible. All right? And the Canucks still, the playoff odds above that 50% barometer by most metrics out there. Derek Whelan in the comments saying Joshua getting prepared for the playoffs. He looks like he's getting playoff ready, man. And definitely got that tan too. Like he had a good vacation, man. He had a good some good rest. And maybe just letting loose does some good, man. And Elias Pettersson also needs to let loose. Again, Andrew in the comments saying P.J. needs to play hockey and stop thinking so much. And Pettersson said that before, like when he was a rookie, He said, I'm playing my best when I'm playing on my instincts and I'm not thinking too much. And right now, you look at a guy whose brain is all over the place. It is. He's thinking way too much out there. Every time he has the puck, he doesn't know when to pass. He doesn't know when to find his teammates. He can't find the middle of the ice. Man, oh man, it's a tough goal for Elias Pettersson out there. But again, the Canucks are currently in the playoffs. That is what matters most for this hockey team right now. Smirky McStir commenting on the worst team that ever won the Stanley Cup. He's saying the Dallas Stars in 1999. Look, the Dallas Stars at least still had some players who were dangerous, right? Like Brett Hall, Mike Modano. And obviously they were a team that had a great defense too. You know, Sergei Zubov is a guy who's gotten a lot of those comparisons to Quinn Hughes as well. I think Quinn Hughes obviously a better player, but you know, a Dallas Stars team had the best defense in the regular season that year, first overall in goals against, and they were first overall in the Pacific Division too with 51 wins. I mean, that team nothing to sneeze at, man. All right. Again, Brett Hall, Mike Modano, Joe Nieuwendyk. Yeah, not the most dangerous team. I think I see what you're saying there, Smirky McStir. But still, they still had some dangerous players too. I think Andrew's right about this one. I honestly think of the St. Louis Blues quite a bit. And, you know, thinking about this team has given so many fan bases hope, even now almost 6 years after they originally won the Cup against the Boston Bruins. And, you know, a team with, you know, Ryan O'Reilly and Braden Shen as your top two centers, that does not scream Stanley Cup winner. Of course, Jordan Binnington as well, coming out of nowhere. But you do need hot goaltending, and that is one thing the Canucks have right now. Even when you look at a team like the LA Kings, and this team, LA Kings team is so stingy, like the Vancouver Canucks, just, you know, defending like no tomorrow. And again, with Kevin Lankinen right now, he's done such a good job in LA. You know, Darcy Kemper's been good this season statistically. David Riddick, you were thinking in this game, like the Canucks has got to shoot more on David Riddick because Big Dick Dave, Big Save Dave, looked a little shaky. I mean, Philip Hedl squeezing it by him on a low to mid danger chance. I don't know, he's coming down off the runs, maybe give that one a mid danger chance. But yeah, David Riddick, that's a tough go there. Let's wrap up the show on the other side here on Locked On Canucks. Not stopping for a break, but let's wrap it up in the exit, baby. The Vancouver Canucks right now, I think the big question with this team, because we're not expecting them to be an offensive juggernaut, is can they get into the playoffs and even make some noise by being a defensive savant? And again, looking at the numbers, expected goals are one of the best three teams in the league in terms of expected goals against. Right now, you got Kevin Lankinen playing pretty damn well. And, you know, one of the differences when you look at the Canucks over the past, you know, dozen games or so is that it's not just Kevin Lankinen doing what he's done all season long, but, you know, Artur Shilov's in his one game looked pretty damn good. Thatcher Demko's on a bit of a run as well. It can't just be Kevin Lankinen at the end of the day. They do need one of those two other guys, you know, at least providing average goaltending, which they weren't earlier in the season. And again, you know, the Anaheim Ducks the Canucks are facing tomorrow night. We'll talk about it more on Locked On Canucks. But the Anaheim Ducks, I heard a crazy stat about them today, actually. They are 22-0-3 when they score more than 3 goals in the game. That's not a high bar. And the Anaheim Ducks have yet to lose in regulation when scoring 3 goals. Now, you know, thankfully for the Canucks, if you're believing in this team, they are a team that can, you know, prevent the Anaheim Ducks from scoring 3 goals. And you know, it is a big test for Artur Shilovs tomorrow. But even when you look at the Canucks schedule ahead, you know, it's the Ducks, Kraken, Ducks, Wild, Stars, Canadians, Flames, Blackhawks, Utah, right? Like the Canucks' next 9 games, no one offensively really scares you all that much. You know, the Stars are, again, like the Canucks, kind of more defensive. They only had 14 or 15 shots against the Canucks against them in their last game. The Montreal Canadiens, a little bit spicy, but nothing that really scares you. After that, the Canucks got Jets, Canucks, Rangers, Devils. I mean, you look at the schedule ahead, and until like the very end of the season, it's not the most imposing schedule. Towards the end, they got the Vegas Golden Knights twice. They got the Avalanche. They got the Stars again. To me, like the Jets are the team that kind of scares me the most. But this Canucks team right now, I think they can make some noise, at least in the regular season and potentially even in the playoffs as well, just by being a good old boring defensive hockey team. But I don't care. Just win me some damn games. Shout out to you for tuning into this episode of Locked On Canucks. Again, I'm way past my bedtime, but I do it because I love this goddamn hockey team and I love doing this goddamn show. Last comment to Dan Jardine. I'm making jokes with the Canucks being a 57-year-old out there. Dan Jardine, hey, he's 66 and he resents that. Dan Jardine, man. Dan Jardine's better looking than me, man. Are you kidding me? Dan Jardine, dude, I hope I have your swagger with the bandana and the facial hair when I'm 66, man. Unbelievable stuff. And there are people that buck the trend, man, okay? There's lots of sexy 66-year-olds out there. But I'm saying the average one, not quite as sexy as they were in their mid-20s. If you like what we're doing here on Locked On Canucks, go subscribe and like on YouTube on the podcast. Go follow us. Leave a 5-star review. I'll be back with Kyle Bowen tomorrow. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.